Hello, if you clicked on this video, I'm assuming that you're either a current Omnipod user interested in getting the Omnipod and like comparing your different options for insulin pumps, or you're just curious about the Omnipod insulin pump and are trying to just educate yourself further on diabetes. So for whatever reason you're here, my name is Laina. I've been a type 1 diabetic for 12 years now. I was diagnosed at 11 years old in 6th grade, and I currently use the Omnipod insulin pump along with the Dexcom G6. They're compatible because I have the Omnipod 5, so they communicate back and forth, and my basal rates are adjusted based on my Dexcom readings, which is really nice. So for today's video, I'm basically just going to be breaking down the little PDM and the system and kind of talking about what it is, what you can do with all the different features, and kind of help you get a better understanding of how to use your pump to the fullest potential. So starting out, this is what the PDM looks like. I have two PDMs to like compare with you. I think there was also another one that was a little bit of like a in between of the two, but this PDM is a lot thicker than this one. The new one kind of resembles a phone and is also touchscreen with a charging port on the bottom. The old one took batteries and is not touchscreen. Personally, I kind of liked having batteries better than charging it because they would last so much longer than a charge. I find myself out and about and my PDM will be dead because I didn't like charge it that night, and then I'm kind of screwed because I can't take any boluses and I can't make any adjustments to my basal rate. But I mean, if you charge it every single night, it's not going to run out of battery during the day. I just like forget sometimes. So currently on my Omnipod, I just have a little case on it. Without it, it's just a little bit more ugly, so that's kind of why I keep that on there, but it's just black Omnipod case. I'm pretty sure it came with it when I got the starting kit. On the side here, there's a power button and then the volume buttons to either turn the volume up or all the way down so it just vibrates and doesn't make any noise at all. When you turn the PDM on, you'll see your lock screen, which will tell you the time, the date, and any insulin that you might have on board, along with if your pump is in automated mode or manual mode, it will like let you know. A nice safety feature that Omnipod has, and I know t:slim has it as well, is a passcode. So whenever you get on, you have to enter your passcode in order to give yourself any sort of insulin or make any changes at all. I think this is very important because not only is it for your own safety, like if you're sleeping and you accidentally like hit something, it prevents accidents from happening, and it also prevents other people from being able to get into your pump and do things for whatever reason they would be trying to do that. So once you get in, it's kind of just a home screen. Okay, I just had to switch out batteries. My camera battery died. Like I was saying, whenever you first get onto your PDM, it's like a home screen. I think it's really nice that that's all just kind of like right there, because two of the biggest things that I'm always looking at are my insulin on board and my numbers. So right when you get on, it's right there. There's another tab up here at the top that says insulin, and then pod info tells you how many units are left in your reservoir, when your pod expires, like the date and the time, and then you can view some more details, and that's kind of how you deactivate your pod. Up in the top right hand corner, once again, it will tell you if you're in automated or manual mode, and I will get into the difference between the two in a second. So that's kind of all the features on the home screen, along with obviously it's got the time at the top and your battery percentage. So whenever you hit these three little lines, it kind of opens up the settings, and this is where you can kind of make some personalized changes. First option is to switch mode. This is what I was talking about between manual and automated mode. If you are in automated mode, it means you're using your pump with your Dexcom G6 data, and they're working together in order to change your insulin levels based on blood sugar readings. So that's currently what I have it in, and it's the mode that I normally keep mine in if I have a Dexcom on, because it saves me from having to turn my insulin off if I'm low or increasing my basal rate if I'm high, because it kind of just does it for me. But if you want to switch, you can switch to manual mode, and it'll switch to your current basal program that you last had active, I'm pretty sure. You can make multiple basal rates and choose which one you want based on different times. So sometimes when I will do this, like I said, is if I don't have a Dexcom on, or if I am like on my period and running a lot higher for a few days, I will put it on this and bump up my insulin even higher than it normally is. So those are just a few examples of why you might want to use manual mode over automated mode. Of course, if you don't even have a Dexcom, you will always be using the manual mode. Next is set temp basal. This feature is only available if you are in manual mode. So if you're in automated mode, you cannot increase or decrease your insulin levels because the pump is supposed to be doing all that for you. So if you want to be the one in charge of that, you have to be in manual mode, and then you can set a temp basal. So I'm gonna switch to manual mode for the sake of this video right now, just so I can go into that setting and show you and explain kind of like what it is. I can go up to 2.5 units per hour for basal rate. I'm pretty sure that's a setting that you can change. You can increase that to however high you want. But here you can either decrease or increase your basal rate by a certain percentage of how much more or how much less insulin you want to receive per hour. And then you choose how long you want to do that for. So you can do that for up to 12 hours. It goes by half-hour increments. And then the percentages go by 5% increments. So you kind of just choose what you're wanting to do and then hit confirm. So say my sugar is running higher and I want to increase my basal rate by 20% for 2 hours. I'll enter that in and then hit confirm, and then it'll immediately start giving me the 20% more insulin for those next 2 hours. And then something really nice is that it will automatically, after the 2 hours is up, go back to my initial basal rate amount. So you don't have to remember to turn it off. It'll automatically turn off. Next up on the list is activity, and you can only access this if you are in automated mode. So I'm switching back to automated mode to show you that now. I have found myself using this feature a lot. It's very nice because it changes your target glucose to 150 rather than what it was before, which normally most people would probably have it around like 90 or 100. I use this in the case of if I'm going to be going for a run or a longer walk, or if I'm lifting and I'm starting out at a lower number, because it will use its feature of turning your insulin off sooner to prevent lows, because you're kind of just letting it know like, hey, I'm going to be working out, so I might be dropping and I want to be able to prevent those lows. This is kind of like the temp basal in the fact that you tell it how many hours you want and then hit confirm. And then also like the temp basal, once your time span is up, it will automatically go back to your original target glucose level. Next is pod, which is basically the same screen that was on the home screen. Kind of just tells you how many units left in the pod, when it expires, and all of that. That's where you would go to deactivate your pod in order to put a new one on. And you have to do that every 3 days with the Omnipod. Here you can enter your BG. I've never done this before, so let me just do it real quick and see what kind of happens. I don't think anything happened. I think it's just like, if you want to store that information on the pod, you can. So like if you prick your finger and you want to keep track of that, you can keep track of it all in here. But I just personally never do that because I honestly am never pricking my finger unless I don't have a Dexcom on. So it's very rare that I would need to be doing that. Then you can pause insulin, but you can only do that if you're in manual mode. So if you want to pause it, you can say how long you would like to pause it and then hit pause. And I am not 100% positive, but I think with that one, you have to confirm to restart the insulin. But I'm not 100% sure. I think that's just a safety feature though. Next we have manage programs and presets. So currently I have 2 different programs, but the main one I use is, like I said, for my period. So it kind of shows you like all the different ones that you have. You can create multiple for different occasions. They even have little icons you can set. So like for the period, they had one that was like a female and then it had like a little blood drop. So that's kind of cool. And then it tells you like the total amount that basal rate is going to give you per day. When you are creating a new basal program, you set a name, and then you can add a tag, like I said, which is a little picture. The start time always starts at midnight. Say you have 2 rates throughout the day. From midnight to 11 a.m. you are getting 1.5 units per hour. And then from 11 a.m. to 8, you're getting 0.8 units per hour. And then at 8, you want to switch back to the first rate. I don't remember what I said. I think I said like 1.4 or something. Whatever I said originally. So you have to kind of set that one twice because you set that one from 8 to midnight and then midnight to 11. It'll be the same exact thing. That's just kind of how it's set up, is it restarts at midnight. So hopefully that I explained that well. Review your basal rate, edit it, and then obviously save it. So it's pretty easy to make a new one, and you know, you can kind of mess around with it and figure out what works best for you. You can get really detailed with it, which is really nice that you have the capability to do that. And then there's also temp basal presets. I personally have never like dived into this. Actually, I think I used to when I ran cross country because I wanted to do a 70% decrease for like 3 hours or whatever, but I don't really have a certain, like, because that was what I was like going to practice every single day consistently at the same time. So I just found it easier to do that instead of like having to reset it every time. But now I don't have any of those, but that's just an option if you want to do that. Here you have history details. So it kind of gives you your average CGM reading, CGM percent in range, above range, below range. Tells you the total amount of insulin, what percent was from basal, what percent was from bolus, and how many carbs you ate, and then like all of the times that you switch modes. So that's kind of cool to kind of understand more about like your data. And then there's also notifications, and those are like from Dexcom and stuff. Then in settings, there's general settings. This is more so just like about your device. So here you can change your wallpaper, your pin to log in, the message on your PDM, screen brightness, kind of stuff like that. Doesn't really have to do with diabetes all that much. Next, you can enter the serial number on your transmitter. This is how obviously your Dexcom and PDM are able to communicate. So you want to make sure that's accurate, obviously. Under reminders, these are all kind of personal preferences. So first up is pod expiration. This is when your PDM will alert you that your pump is going to be expiring. So right now I have mine set for 4 hours before expiration, but you can change it from 1 to 24 hours. So it's kind of just whenever you want to be reminded that, hey, your pump is going to be expiring today. Then you have low pod insulin. This is kind of just also another reminder letting you know that your pod is running low on insulin. You can set this from 10 to 50 units. I have it on 10 at the moment. And then there's some other things. I have all of the rest of them turned off, like confidence reminders. I think that is just the beep when your bolus has been completely delivered. I turned that off because I just found it annoying and I just didn't feel the need for it, especially if I'm like in class or something. It made me more likely to give a bolus if my pump isn't gonna beep at the end. Glucose goal range. This is where you set your upper limit and lower limit based on either your Dexcom or what your endocrinologist recommended or whatever you want, I guess. Basal and temp basal, we kind of already went through that. Bolus, maximum bolus is how much you can give at one time. Extended bolus, I had a question about this the other day and someone actually answered it for me, which I appreciate very much, but apparently you can only do an extended bolus if you are in manual mode, which is very odd to me and kind of annoying because, like I was saying in my last video, whenever I got a green tea from Panera, it has a lot of sugar and I was hoping I could do the extended bolus option just because I don't drink it all at once. Like I drink it over a span of like half an hour or like an hour. And so I don't want to give all my insulin at once and then go low and then go high. It's just a whole cycle that I want to like avoid completely. So when you do an extended bolus, you can choose what percent of the bolus you want to receive right then, and then what percent you want to receive over a certain amount of time. Then we have target glucose and correct above. So your target glucose is what I was referring to later when I was talking about the activity feature, where it changes your target from what it normally is to 150. So right now my target is set at 110, and then you can also choose how soon your pump will start to give you a correction. So mine is set at correct above 110. So if I enter that my blood sugar is 111, it's going to give me a slight correction to bring that down. Minimum glucose for calculations, mine's set at 70, and this says if your glucose is below your minimum glucose for calculations, the bolus calculator is disabled so that it does not suggest a bolus. It's not going to give you as much insulin if you are below that number. Your insulin to carb ratio is very distinct to you personally. So this is the amount of insulin that you would need for a certain amount of carbs. So right now I have a few different ones, a few different segments. Same as the basal rates, you can do these based on time. So say that you need more insulin in the morning when you eat breakfast compared to dinner at night. You have the ability to do that. You have to just enter in what works for you personally. Correction factor is the amount that 1 unit of insulin will lower your blood sugar by. Mine is set for 1 unit lowers me 40 milligrams per deciliter. This is taken into account when you enter a blood sugar, and it's trying to figure out how much insulin to give you to bring back down to your target range. Reverse correction, you can turn this on or off. Basically just means if you're low, it's going to give you less insulin and take that into consideration. And then duration of insulin action is how long your insulin stays active in your body. This is your IOB, how long it'll last. So mine is set for 3 hours. That's typically what I've always kind of done and been told. I've always been told like 3 to 4 hours is how long the insulin will kind of stay in your body. But I have gone low when it's been past 3 hours and I have 0 on board, and all of a sudden I just keep dropping. So sometimes I think it definitely stays active for longer than 3 hours, but that's just kind of a general rule of thumb. So hopefully this video was helpful to you. I feel like it would be very helpful if I was like new to diabetes and kind of looking into getting a pump, especially if you're looking into getting Omnipod. This is for sure really helpful because I literally took you through every single thing you can do on this device. I absolutely love Omnipod. I don't see myself switching anytime soon in the future. I have no desire to. I'm completely happy with it. I love the site change process. I love the freedom of placing sites almost virtually anywhere because it doesn't have a tube. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed or this video helped you, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below letting me know that it was helpful. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to post at least 1 to 2 times a week, and I love you so much, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.